All right, everybody. This is the next episode of the KAAMP. I'm Thomas, and today we have, I think, my favorite local photographer for events, shenanigans, nightlife, and whatnot.
Thank you.
If you would go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Bill Foster. I'm an event photographer in Knoxville.
And is event photographer the main umbrella you ride under?
Yeah, I mean, I have a day job, but as far as photography, yeah, that's the main reason I took a day job is so I didn't have to photograph stuff I didn't want to photograph anymore.
Well, there you go. And
so I do some weddings for mostly I only do weddings if I know you, and then
prerequisite.
Yeah, and then some landscape and some art photography and stuff and projects that are fun, but yeah, events are most of it, music and festivals.
Well, I'll go ahead and put it out there that you've taken some of my favorite pictures of one of my favorite people on this planet, Ashton Brown.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he and I grew up together, and I like to tell people how small the world is when we all know each other. And you've taken some of my favorite pictures of him, so I appreciate that.
For legal reasons, I want to point out that I did not take that album cover. He asked me to do it, and I might have done it, but he just did it while I was thinking about it.
Allegedly is where we're at here.
I'm sure it's Photoshop.
Yeah, it has to be. All right, so what the conversation I'd like to have with you is more about how you got here into your creative output, and then how you get along doing what you do. So can you sort of tell us how you landed doing what you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, I started taking photographs. I mean, I started with film cameras, but it was just something for fun. But I didn't like it because when I turned my pictures into the lab, this was when I lived in Spain, they would come back different. And I just never got that into it because I couldn't control it. And once I got digital cameras, and I got my first good digital camera when I was in Kosovo. And there were all these Serbian Orthodox churches that were in danger of being destroyed.
Oh, so you wanted to document that?
Yeah, I just wanted to take pictures. I thought they were really interesting and historic and cool buildings. And and I'm sure other people were doing it, but I just wanted pictures of them just in case something happened. Mm-hmm. And that's when I got serious about it. And then really pruned to social media because this was back in like 2000. And there was a site called photo.net. I think my account on there still works, but it was really nice because it was before all the crappy stuff about social media came.
Yeah, exactly.
So the only people who were there were other photographers, and they were really encouraging. And there's a difference between being a guy who takes pictures and being a photographer. And,
right.
And I learned from their feedback and everything. How
you can toss that controller on the other side of the couch. Okay. I didn't realize it was.
I didn't even know what I was touching. I learned from them. Things like the rule of thirds and filling up the foreground and the middle ground and the background and color. Because people really, one of the hardest things to get as a photographer or any kind of artist is real legitimate criticism.
Oh, definitely.
Because everybody just tells you you're great. And I'm like, don't tell me I'm great. Tell me
the bad shit.
I want to improve. And so when I do something wrong, I want to know. Like I look back at some of my old pictures and I was just so in love with contrast and saturation, and I can't look at them now because I've toned that down by like 25%.
So you'd say that's very stylized back then, huh?
Yeah, and I just wish, I don't know, but it was great to have that feedback from everybody and to have, social media before there was spam and
before everything went south
and before everybody was angry all the time. It was a small group who all knew each other, so
right, and the honesty and the feedback was there because it was a genuinely connected community.
Yeah,
that's awesome. So between there and now, what has really
so I was taking all kinds of pictures in Italy, and but I just never did anything with them. And then I moved back from Italy to Knoxville in 2004. Because I'd visited here, but I'd never lived here. But my mom was here.
That's a good reason to come.
Yeah, so when I got out of the Navy, I came here.
How long were you in the Navy?
20 years. 21, actually.
So, career.
Yeah. And then I just started trying to sell them, And so I started doing exhibits and stuff. I think I didn't do my first exhibit till like 2009. And so My Italian girlfriend was a big catalyst for it. We were very competitive with each other, photography wise.
So, so you had a pretty big body of work to draw from.
Yeah,
at
by
that
the
point.
time I started doing it, I had all these, all these pictures of Italy and everything. Which, curiously enough, maybe if you have a gallery on Royal Street in New Orleans or something, but nobody here buys my pictures of Italy or Spain. They want pictures of the sun spear.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And sunsets in the mountains.
Yeah, exactly.
So, what really gets your goat about doing it now?
Nothing really gets my goat. I mean,
Well, I mean that in a good way. Like, what are the things that propel you and push you to keep doing it?
I just love trying to capture a moment. There's a great there's an Oscar Wilde quote in Streetcar Named Desire. And I don't remember the whole quote, but basically he's like saying, I don't write what is, I write what should be. And if I'm damned for it, then I'll be damned. And I argue with it, not argue, I discuss this with Saul Young of the KNS a lot because, he is a photojournalist. He has really strict rules. Like if he takes a beautiful picture and there's a microphone in it, he can't Photoshop it out.
Right.
Or he just can't use that picture, or he has to use it knowing that something's in it that'll drive him crazy.
Yeah.
And that's a skill. Saul's one of the best photographers I know.
A little bit of coping and detachment right there.
But what he does isn't what I do, right? I'm more, you're taking pictures of music, which in some ways is like, there's a quote about, that says writing about music is like dancing about architecture. It's the same thing with pictures. So you're trying to capture what it feels like. You're trying to capture the excitement in the moment.
Because you can't capture...
Yeah, because you can't capture
the sound or the audio.
Which is paradoxically, tip for music photographers, not when the music is complicated.
Yeah.
That you usually don't get an exciting moment then because it's hard and the people are playing it.
They're really concentrating.
So, they jump off the amplifiers when they're just playing an E chord at the end of the song.
So that's when you need to have your eyes on, huh?
Yeah, but that's always my goal is, I think, the Preservation Pub with the right band on the right night is one of the most magical venues in America. And I like, to take pictures that capture that show what it feels like, Like I think, my Band of Humans pictures, New Year's Eve 2011 was one of the greatest concerts I've ever seen in my life in the pub. And I think my pictures kind of, capture a little bit of it. At least if you look at the pictures, you can get a little bit of what it feels like.
Yeah.
Even though it's not quite the same. But
so as the photographer you are now, how many photos do you think you've taken in your life?
Taken, I don't know.
Yeah, total.
It's curious because I'm backing up my hard drive right now.
That's one of the reasons I asked that. I saw you talking about that today.
I have 303,000 pictures
that you have that you can go look at right now.
Yeah, so I would say that I'm like 1.2 million is the minimum because I don't keep more than 25% of what like if I'm taking a picture of you right now, I'll go
yeah,
and there's 4 pictures and I only keep one of them. And so
if I were to say that about things I've painted or drawn, that's a crazy number. That's a lot.
Yeah, but a lot of it is, so some of it is crap, but a lot of it is just that. If I get, I'll get 4 pictures of you in 1 second, and 2 of them your eyes will be closed, and I'll just delete them.
Right.
So it's not really. It's taking a little bit of time, but it's not really the same as like making 2 drawings.
Well, if it, it was just the 1-to-1 in my head, like my creative output, your creative output, it feels really crazy.
But I typically come back. So like I just did Shaky Knees Fest, and I took about 1,300 pictures a day.
Yeah, and that was a weekend or 3 days.
Yeah, and I'll cut it. Yeah, over Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Okay.
So I came back with 4,000 pictures, and I'll try to get that cut down to about 1,000. It's a problem. I should really cut it down to like 400, but
yeah, how much time do you spend before you've spent too much time? Yeah, does it drive you crazy?
People are fascinating. Like I took my good friend Tim Lee, he plays a band called Bark, a great band with his wife Susan Lee, and Susan's really animated when she plays the drums. And so like one time I took like 15 pictures in a row when she was like really excited. And I had to keep like 7 of them.
Yeah, had to.
Because she just had a little different expression in every picture, and I didn't want to lose it.
Yeah, that's fair. So now that we're sort of talking about the time investment on the back end of these things, what's a good? Do you call it a work day? How do you classify your editing and parsing out of bad photos and such?
I don't keep track of it like I should, but basically, I mean, I have except during the pandemic, like when the pandemic hit, I hadn't watched television without my laptop in my lap in a decade. Like, I come home in the evening and that's what I do. I put on some TV show, or, tonight the basketball game's on.
Yep.
And I'll edit all through the basketball game. So I just, a minimum of 3 hours a day, 8 to 10 hours on Saturday and Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I just always have, I have probably, it's bad right now. Because I have 2 festivals.
Oh, yeah.
So I have probably 17 jobs on my desktop that haven't been done. And like 6 of them are paid.
That matters. So that's just the thing that's happening in conjunction with your daily life. Like, you're just always going through the stuff.
Yeah.
So what's a good creative day look like when you're out snapping photos?
It depends. So, that's the nice thing about photography is I spent a month taking a picture of every building in the Central Business Improvement District. And the nice thing is, there's a picture in a picture. So, you take like 25 pictures of this building, and you want one that ideally that just shows the building square.
Right.
Boom. There's the building. It looks like this. So, because that's what I call the recording aspect of photography, Sometimes, there's a guy talking at a lectern, and they want a picture of the guy talking. There's no art to it, nothing. Sometimes photography is just recording. And sometimes, like with this project, I could get art into it. So I tried to, for every building, I tried to get at least, one, this is the building recording shot, one, like artistic, interesting shot, and 2, like close-up detail shots. And I did that for every single, it was a huge project. And so for that, in those cases, I would go walk around downtown all day and just take pictures. Nowadays, like if I'm at a festival, then, it depends on the festival. Like Bonnaroo is a constant run.
Yeah, everything's happening all the time.
25,000 steps. I just do my 3 songs and leave. And in 10 Bonnaroos, I probably have not watched 10 entire sets all the way through.
And is this year Bonnaroo 10?
No.
The 10 that you've went to. I think this is like 13 or something.
This is like, I think it's more higher. I think it's like 18.
Huh. I've been twice.
Yeah.
So you got me beat on that one. But I think I've seen more sets.
But if there's somebody I love, like Nick Cave, then there's some artists that I'll just say,
putting the camera down and going to enjoy that one.
I don't care. Well, I took pictures, of course. But and if you're listening, Nick Cave, you still owe me £1. That's an English thing. You have to sign a photo release.
I got
saying that the artist will pay you £1 and he has the rights to your pictures.
So you're still waiting on that?
I'm still waiting on my pound, Nick.
Nick Cave's going to have to come through if he listens. There's your reminder. So, do you enjoy the festival gigs and the concert gigs? Is that like a bittersweet thing because you have to be there and work and try to enjoy it a little bit? Or
I
there a
enjoy
mix
the
of
hell out of it.
Oh, all the way? 100%?
My favorite thing is like even music I don't like. Like if I go to an EDM show, there's 10,000 people all tripping balls.
Yeah.
5,000 girls with enough clothes for 1,000.
Yeah.
And they're all spinning and twirling around and happy. And how can you not be happy?
Right.
Like you're a total Grinch if you can look at the other stage at Bonnaroo, no matter what you think of the music. But if you can look at the other stage at Bonnaroo at 3 o'clock in the morning with all the lasers and the lights and the music and everybody so just
having a blast.
Fun.
Yeah.
If you can look at that and not smile and not be happy, then
go find a hole in the dirt.
But my favorite moment is before, even an artist I don't like Phoebe Bridgers. I do like Phoebe Bridgers, but I'm not nuts about her. But her crowd at Shaky Knees last year was, it made the crowd photographs earlier in the day crap. Because they were all just standing there waiting for Phoebe. They were there at noon.
Yeah.
They were there for Phoebe.
Like dedicated fans.
And the other 4 bands were, okay, if we enjoy them, that's good, but whatever, we're just waiting for Phoebe. And the screams when she came out, and just watching all the people and watching their excitement, looking, you know, I mean, it's a big deal to them. It's one thing that we should always keep in mind, or, you know, you're young, but I'm not. And I just try to keep in mind, like I photographed Greta Van Fleet last weekend. And those girls, they call them Greta girls, they all lined up. Our Airbnb was right across from the entrance of the festival. And those girls were lined up at 5 a.m.
Oh, my God. And the show was at, what, 8?
Yeah, something like that. And I don't, you know, I'm not into Greta Van Fleet, but you know what?
A lot of people are.
If I was into Greta Van Fleet, the guy would probably be pissed off. He'd probably be like, why does this fat old guy like me? Everybody needs to hear an I love you song and a fuck you song and a you broke my heart song. Everybody needs to hear that song in their language from people they relate to.
Yeah, agreed.
You know, sure, Led Zeppelin wrote all those songs, but none of those girls knew who Led Zeppelin was.
Right.
You know, they're not, you know, it's
not their wheelhouse.
It's not. And so this is music for them. And I'm glad there's girls out there screaming for guys with guitars.
Yeah.
You know?
It would make your life a lot less interesting if they weren't. So when you photograph, when your environment's like this, do you ever get distracted? Or is it always it being in the moment and the camera?
No, I'm very in the moment. I mean, sometimes I like, you know, sometimes it's to my detriment because if it's a band I really like and, you know, like Beck. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't Beck, it was Bleachers. But Bleachers brought Beck out. And I was so excited. I was just taking the pictures of everything. And then somebody the next day was like, man, I loved when he brought Beck out for that Depeche Mode song. And I'm like, he played Depeche Mode.
Is that what that was?
Yeah, he did Just Can't Get Enough, but I had to go back and listen to it because I was so in the moment and just trying to get a good picture that I don't even remember it.
Well, would you say that is one of the moments where you find like a flow state or some zen in your workflow and your activities?
Yeah, definitely.
You find a lot of that?
Yeah, usually in music pits at big concerts, almost always.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm in a bar, but I mean, you know, it comes and it goes.
Yeah. Well, that's
it's
one of the...
It's the same thing at a bar, though, on a smaller scale.
Yeah.
I love to see a band like... I don't like bands who complain about people talking.
Yeah,
you know
because
what?
there are people in the room doing other things.
Do your fucking job better.
Yeah, make them interesting.
If everybody's talking, then maybe you're boring. You know? And now that's not always true. There are such things as listening rooms, and there are people who are quiet. But man, if you're a band in the pub, and people are talking, then you need to be better.
Yeah, you're probably not putting on the best show.
Jump up on the bar, walk down and step on their beer.
Yeah,
you know.
I would love to see somebody do that in the pub.
Matt Schultz from Cage the Elephant did it. And nobody will ever forget that show.
I bet.
I saw this guy. So at Relics, we have a wonderful local artist named Joseph Woods, Black Atticus. Mm-hmm. Incredible rapper, incredible spoken word leader. And at Relics, we had this guy named Con Hunley play. And it was the first time he played. It was at Wayne Stock at Relics Theater.
Yeah.
And it was the first time Con Hunley had played in like 15 years. And
so big deal.
But because he used to play at the Corner Lounge back in the 70s and 80s, like every Friday or something. So all his audience was mostly women my age, 55, 60-year-old women, all there to see Con Hunley for the first time in a long time. And Atticus is up right before him. And so, you know, they're kind of, he's like walking up and they're like just looking at this black guy and like, what is this? And he gets up and he starts speaking and he got a standing ovation. Doing a cappella rap for Con Hunley fans. It was the most, that
is pretty left field.
Yeah, that's the thing I like seeing in small clubs. I love seeing a band win people over. I love seeing people stop talking and go up front because they like what they're hearing, and see people starting to dance and see a band like really build the excitement in a room.
Yeah, and that's one of those things that's almost tangible too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You can feel an electricity in the air, you know. And sometimes you can feel it from the first note, and sometimes it has to build a little while. Is
that a good indicator when you have your camera up, or is that just something you like to have happen when you have your camera up?
I mean, if I have my camera there, I'm going to take a picture, you know, because you never know, you know. I didn't know when I shot the Avett Brothers the first time that they'd be as big as they are now. You know, I shot them in 2004. You know, I didn't know when I shot Chris Stapleton that he'd be Chris Stapleton, or you know, KG Elephant, Tank and the Bangers. You know.
Yeah, I forgot that you've got a pretty impressive list of people you've had in front of your lens. You know, I'd feel like Knoxville's an advantageous spot for things like that.
Yeah,
because you know, Knoxville's a happening place sometimes. And since we're talking about town now, how does Knoxville treat you as a creative person? To keep the conversation kind of grounded about Knoxville, does town treat you good?
It treats me good in terms of respect and recognition, and almost every day somebody comes up to me and like, "Are you Bill Foster?" And that's always really nice.
Yeah, that is cool.
Good, and you know, it could be better in terms of pay.
Right, always. But some of those things you just mentioned are worth far more than money. So.
Well, equal maybe.
Well, it's nice to be received warmly, regardless.
No, it's wonderful. I mean, I love it every time it happens, and I'm amazed that it still happens. You know? Like it happened 3 times at Shaky Knees.
Yeah.
That people are like, "Oh, I'm from Knoxville, and I know your work." And
yeah, follow you on Facebook or something like that kind of thing. Which you are entertaining and enlightening on the social medias. I do enjoy your photos, your random photos of the day, and sometimes you're able to really put some context on the images that you post. And me wanting to know beyond the picture, I always appreciate that.
I always like that. It takes a little bit of research, you know, but I spend like 15 minutes. Like some of it I know, but I always look it up anyway, you know. Right. I want to make sure I get the dates right, and I like it when I put a picture of a church, you know, saying this was built by this guy at this time, and this represents this. And
I feel like more often than not, it's either a concert or event photo or things from your travels abroad, and I think that juxtaposition is really entertaining as well.
Yeah, the random isn't really random enough. I don't know. There are certain categories, like I just mentioned Kosovo. I've never had a random picture from Kosovo.
The computer knows.
It's been 2 years. But well, you know how like your your phone or your listening device on shuffle, it says it's random, but it's not really random.
It's not truly random.
You know, there's some album that will always come up first.
Yeah.
You know, and some albums it will never play. And I think the pictures are like that too. I don't know. You know?
And is that pulling from your entire catalog, or is that just okay?
Yeah, I just go. I have a random number digit generator. Well, I don't make it go from 0, because if it picked the number 2, you know, I would have every number with a 2 in there. I would have 500 pictures, but it picks up. So I have it go from 999 to 9999, and so it's not random in that respect. So I just type in a number in the search bar of my hard drive, and it'll search all my pictures.
But you come up with a pool and then pick one?
It'll come up with a pool, and then I'll pick one out of it.
Okay. Is that just whatever picture grabs your eye at the moment?
Yeah.
More or less?
Yeah. So usually if I have a story, I want it, if I see something and I think of a cool story, you know.
Yeah.
Because I do want to, you know, I do want to have something to say. But I like it when it happens that it's just, you know,
here's a cool
guy
picture
at a bar. That's what came. That's all there was. So, you know, here's a guy at the bar. Nothing else to say about it. You know? I don't know who he is. Don't remember when I took it. It's a guy at the bar.
It's my picture. I took it, but that's all I can say. So, what are some favorite Knoxville spots of yours to take photos? Bar or no bar?
Okay, so do no bar first.
All right.
I really like the top of the 11th Street garage.
Yeah.
I've taken like I took my sunset picture, which is probably my most well-known one. I've taken that there. It's not a spot, but I really love to just drive around and take pictures of like cool houses. I've got a little list going now because I found some, like, just driving around, I saw some really cool houses with like lots of statues out in the front yard and stuff that I want to take pictures of. Market Square. I love taking pictures of Market Square and Gate Street.
Yeah, there's always something to see there, regardless of what it is.
I love going up with a telephoto lens on the by the Shriners Temple and shooting all the way down Gay Street. I love Sharp's Ridge, but there's only very certain times for very certain spots you can, because most of it there's just so much stuff in the way.
Yeah. It's a gorgeous view, though.
Yeah. You ask other people this question because I need more spots.
All right, I'll see if I can slip it in somewhere.
Garden, yeah. And then bar wise, I mean, the pub roof is magical. The light in the pub, especially if I'm there when they close, which I'm not very often, but when they turn on the lights at 3 a.m, everybody's drunk, so everybody's happy, and the pictures from that time are usually astounding.
I enjoy that low warm tone they have in there 99% of the time.
Yeah, me too. And I like Market Square in the snow.
Oh, man.
Because when it's not snowing, it's right at the edge of the capabilities of a modern camera. So you can shoot, you have to turn your ISO up to 5,000, shoot at 100 at f2.8, and you'll still have to adjust it a little in the computer because it'll be a little dark.
Yeah.
But when it snows and the lights reflect off that thing, it just brings it right up, and it's just beautiful light.
Yeah, I like Market Square in the snow. That's gorgeous. But you posted some pictures of some folks getting drenched in Market Square the other day, and that was entertaining for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah, I want to do that more too. I was thinking about that when we had that huge thunderstorm the other day. I was like, man, if I was in Market Square.
Yeah, you would have caught somebody not being happy by being wet.
Both the ones I posted, the people went out voluntarily in it.
Did you goad them?
One of them was sober, one of them was not. No, I had an umbrella.
You're like, hey, you're wet. Go stand out there and let me take a picture.
I don't care if I get wet. I just don't want, I don't want my camera to get hurt.
Right. Yeah.
I lost the camera to the rain, so I'm sensitive about it.
So, give us a breakdown on the hardware you're using right now for all the people that may or may not be into photography.
I use a Nikon D850 as my main camera. It's 50 megapixels, full frame. And I have a D750 for backup. And I also have a Fuji X100, which is a little, it's kind of a camera called a rangefinder. It has a fixed 2.0 lens. And what I like about that is A, it's small, B, it looks really cool. So like people like to be in front of it. It doesn't intimidate them like the big professional looking camera does. Sense. It looks like an arty hipster camera. So people like to pose.
Oh, hey.
Stuff. and it reproduces, again, in the light in the pub, that camera is spectacular. Like it captures images in there so well. If I was starting now from, the problem as a photographer is you get all your lenses and you're stuck. Like if I were buying new now, I would buy Sony.
Yeah.
I think they make the best ones now.
The best cameras and lenses.
Yeah, and
both.
And it changes all the time. But I think Sony makes lenses. I don't know, but the bodies, I really like the Sonys. And I like the way Sonys do colors.
Yeah.
I told you about those pictures in Kosovo, and those were taken that was a Sony. And I've never had another camera that did color quite like that one does.
Any inkling of what lets it handle color so well?
No.
No, it just is what it is then, huh?
Everybody's a little different, Everybody's. And then for lenses, I have 5 or 6. 17-24 f2.8 is my workhorse, and then I have a Sigma 600 millimeter, which is really great, and it's a higher f-stop, which I thought would be limiting, but anytime you're using a camera a lens that's from that far away, you're photographing a big band that has enough light on the stage. So
yeah, that makes sense.
So that's been a godsend at festivals and everything, because a lot of times I don't even want to be in the pit. I just stay out in the audience with that and shoot. And then I have a 50 millimeter 1.2 Sigma art lens. I really like that for portraits. And I haven't been using it, but I have a Lens Baby, which is a completely manual f2, and it just makes everything really blurry. So you have to focus it, and like your face, blurs things in the same focal plane. So like your face will be sharp,
but
you won't be able to read your t-shirt.
Oh, really?
Nice. And I love that. I need to use that more. It's really artistic, and I like it a lot. I haven't been using it much lately.
Is that one of those you have to find the use case for it, or just don't want to take it out for some reason? Is it finicky?
Yeah. I just haven't been using it much. I got it. So it does like the toy train effect. Like when you take a picture of a street and part of it's really in focus and the rest of it does that effect really well. And I love it. I just haven't been doing it. There's lots of things I love that I haven't been doing.
Well, it's good to have it, when you need it.
Yeah.
What softwares do you play with?
So I like to use Photoshop Elements instead of Photoshop. It's a lot cheaper to start with, although I think you probably get them both for the same price now.
Yep.
But it has a couple features that I really like, which is one, the way it does panoramas, guided panoramas, I really like. And it has an adjust for skin color tone.
Okay.
It doesn't always work. Sometimes it's too yellow. But concert lighting is so tricky, and that adjust for skin color has really, really saved me.
And it's hard to control what colors you're going to be exposed to in any scenario like that too.
Right.
So.
I mean, that's the problem. And a lot of times, like if you have completely blue people, and maybe you could get the people to look the right skin color, but if you do, then everything else in the picture will be wrong.
Right.
So that's a trick.
Is that...
If any lighting directors are listening, white lights on the people, colored lights everywhere else.
Yeah, exactly.
No one likes to look at a bunch of Smurfs on stage.
And I imagine that's a really common problem. Well, problem or circumstance.
I mean, some of you know Father John Misty. His lighting director on this tour is awful. He's like blue or red the whole time. I mean, who wants to look? It's not. I'm not complaining because, of course, I'm complaining for my pictures because I'm a photographer. But I genuinely believe that no one wants to look at a person bathed in blue.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't.
Well, I mean, at the very least, if it doesn't change every now and again, it gets really static and unentertaining.
I mean, I just, I want to see if he has a tan or not. I don't know.
I was watching some video from Coachella. Speaking of bad lighting and stuff, the videography for this particular set, it was Mark Rebier's set. And it was bad. There were a couple really good shots of him like close up and at his DJ table and messing with all of his equipment. But everything else, they didn't show the crowd any unless it was like a super wide shot.
He's fantastic.
Ah, man.
I shot him at Bonnaroo at like 2 a.m. and it was just utter chaos, but it was so fun.
I can only imagine. He announced his second Red Rock show this week. Go him. He spends a lot of time on that TV screen behind me. Yeah. But yeah, it's just some of the shots there were totally unflattering to the energy on stage and with the crowd. Yeah. It was made me want to cuss at one of the biggest, event festival things in the country.
You should have hired Lock and Key, Coachella.
Oh boy, yeah, they should have, huh? Yeah, so I was a little disappointed in that, but like 30% of the shots were really good shots. I was like, damn, why does this suck so bad?
Well, I mean, if it's the live feed, they probably only have 2 cameras, and he's where he is, and and they're where they are, and
well, they had 3 shots except for the one cameraman that was trying to chase him around, yeah. And they had one from each flank of the crowd, and then one from like. Sort of right of middle of the crowd. Okay. And the one that should have been like the wide shot of him and the front rows of people was just him from like the belly button up. And I was like, what is this? Yeah. I want to see his whole body dance around behind the table, because you see that a lot in his media. So yeah, bless him. The music was still good, but it is what it is. Are there any kind of shots or compositions you try to avoid when you're looking for your shots?
Yeah, I probably use the rule of thirds like to a fault.
Yeah.
Like it's just so ingrained in me. Like, so I almost never have a person like dead center in the frame. I almost never do that. I also like one shot. I always tell people this, like doing headshots and stuff, Like you want a picture of yourself in front of the White House,
Right.
Well, it's a picture of you or it's a picture of the White House. And you have to pick which.
Right.
Like what I do if I take a picture in front of somebody in the White House is, I'll take a picture where you can see their head about down to like their nipples. And they're going to fill up the frame. And the White House is in the background and that's cool, but,
Yeah.
And you can actually move them further away if you want the whole White House in it, but you still fill up the picture with the person. Like when you have a picture and the person is 1/3 of the height of the picture.
Yeah, that's
not
good.
The building. It's a picture of the building with a person in front of it. But,
right.
But who cares about the person? So I really work hard on that. I try to avoid that. Try to keep everything sharp, but that's sometimes not possible in low lighting.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's fun because the blur can give you a feel of energy.
Right.
What else do I try to avoid? Yeah, blue lights and
blue lights and red lights. Well, is on the flip side of that question, is there anything you like specifically try to capture beyond like the energy and the feel in the room?
No, I mean, not unless the band tells me. You know,
Okay.
like I knew Greta had pyro, you know, so I was in the right place for that. I knew when they were going to do it, so I was in the right place for that and waiting for the pyro. And, you know, and I got shots from far away, and then the second time they did pyro, I got some close-up shots. But, yeah, I mean, if the band tells me, you know, so I don't usually get to talk to bands, but sometimes it's like people I know and, you know.
Yeah, I was about to ask, is that common?
Seth David will tell me he's going to throw his guitar up in the air at the end of this song, and I'll get a picture.
How common is that where you get a heads up on something like that?
It doesn't happen unless I know the band.
Okay.
Yeah.
So nobody's going to be like, "Psst, hey, that's not really how that goes down." Darn.
No, you usually don't even talk to the artists.
Oh, right.
You usually don't even see them.
So,
Because you're not backstage at most venues. So.
but if you can get there, you go.
Oh yeah, of course.
Right.
I mean, the thing is, you know, like festivals tell you technically you're not supposed to shoot from the audience.
Technically, because they have designated areas for these kind of things.
But what do they want?
Shots of the crowd and the artist having a great time.
So the shots they want are from behind the stage or from out in the crowd with all the hands going up.
Right.
You know, so.
And then they give you spots specifically where you can't get that.
And then sometimes, you know, like Big Ears, you know, I really, yeah, I shot Tenacious D this weekend, and I don't know what happened with that, but like they marched us in and they told us we had to stand in these specific spots, and like I couldn't even go talk to my friend a couple spots away because I had to stand in my specific spot.
That's so
because
weird.
There was pyro and it was dangerous.
Oh, that makes more sense.
But there was no pyro during the 3 songs we were in there. They made up a really big deal about it. There was no pyro.
So, you know, during the set there was pyro, but they didn't know.
But not during the 3 songs we were in there. So,
right.
you know, that kind of stuff happens, but
that's just roll the dice kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Well, mildly infuriating.
You can't, I mean, you know, you can't get mad at people as a photographer, especially as a festival photographer.
I mean, they're looking out for you.
Mad at people that probably the person you're talking to had no control over it. You know, like photographers who get mad at security guards drive me crazy. Like,
well, I mean, that's just how the shit rolls downhill sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, it's the hierarchy of the thing. Like, you can't usurp that from the bottom, you know. What do you have any like moonshot or bucket list things you would like to get your lens on?
Springsteen.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Any
I've been to 31 shows and I've never
been able to take pictures?
Especially one of him crowd surfing.
That's a prize shot for you?
Yeah.
Is that like tip top golden? That's the thing I got to get before I die?
Yeah, that's probably the number one picture I would like to get that I imagine I will never ever get. But
why was that a never ever get?
Because he I don't think he even allows photographers. Maybe he allows 1 or 2, but he doesn't have a photo pit at his shows.
So that's just a thing that in general doesn't really happen at his events.
There's 1 or 2 photographers. You know, he has a tour photographer, and there might be like one guy from the whatever the version of the local hometown newspaper.
Right.
is,
yeah.
And that's it. I don't know if he ever played Thompson Bowling. I would try, and maybe I could get it. But
have you ever had to sneak a camera in somewhere?
no, mine are too big to sneak in. Well, I did.
Here we go.
So nowadays, most venues will let you take cameras that don't have detachable lenses.
Yeah, makes sense.
Because they're no different than that thing. But back in Italy, they wouldn't let you. And I was going to see Nirvana, and it was their next to their last show.
In the country or on the tour? Or?
Ever.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It just happened to be.
Yeah, he played in Rome, and he got sick and canceled his next show. And then he did a show in Munich, and then he went home, and that happened. So I tried to sneak my little camera in, and they caught me, and I cried and cried to the security guard about my car was a million miles away and everything. And it took like 20 minutes of arguing with him, but eventually, maybe he just wanted to get rid of me, but eventually he let me in.
Did you just like have it tucked in somewhere? Or?
Yeah, it was in my pocket.
Oh, so you just, not super hidden, but you were trying.
But it was, it was, I don't know, they're kind of blurry, but you can tell who they are.
Well, there you go.
You know?
It happened.
So yeah, those pictures mean
technically it exists.
It was a great show, and you know.
Well, I'm happy you got to get that. The photos and the experience. Hell yeah. outside of single artist events, are there any festivals or, like large multi-artist events you'd like to get to?
Coachella.
Have you done that one before?
No.
Never?
No.
Is that it? That's the one?
Yeah, I mean, all festivals are kind of alike. So this artist, I really love to shoot Rage Against the Machine. I'd love to see Rage Against the Machine.
Right.
I've never seen them. And I did 9 Inch Nails last year. That was a big bucket list one.
Nice.
So, because I saw them on their first tour in 1986.
Yeah, I can imagine that was a riot.
It was great. It was one of the best shows of my life. But it's not seeing 9 Inch Nails, right? Like if you saw Chris Johnson in the pub with the Johnson, or Chris Stapleton in the pub with the Johnson brothers,
right?
It's really cool. It was a great show. But you're not seeing Chris Stapleton,
right?
He wasn't Chris Stapleton yet.
Yeah.
He didn't do any of the songs, So, the 9 Inch Nails that I saw the first time hadn't recorded the Fragile or the Downward Spiral or With Teeth or anything. They hadn't become a stadium act.
Right.
They didn't have all the lights and everything. It was great. It was chaotic and punk and crazy and really fun. But I want to see the 9 Inch Nails that
right.
they turned into. So I got to do that last year, and that was a really, really probably the most difficult show I've ever shot. But really moving too.
What venue were they? Were they in?
Shaky Knees.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they were out on the street?
Yeah.
What was the difficulty?
Lights.
Okay.
Oh, their lights are just blinding and nonstop, and I mean.
Oh, did they have a really big lighting production?
They have a lighting production like you've never seen. but also not just like it's not a normal light show. It's an assault. It looks like a war because it's all just flash. Like the stage goes from total darkness to floodlit like that.
Oh, okay.
Like maybe 10 times a second sometimes. It's all strobing and flashing. It's all white light.
So that one comes with an epilepsy warning?
Very little other light. Man, I imagine everybody. I imagine there were seizures 10 miles away from that shit. I imagine somebody looked up at reflections on the clouds and had a seizure. I mean, it's,
those come with a warning, I think.
it was all. I mean, it was incredible. They played the song I wanted to hear most for the first one, and
oh, nice.
It just got better.
So right off the top, it was already great.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. So I told the internet that you were going to be here doing the thing, and I asked them for questions for you, and I got one, and it was, what is the biggest frustration in your workflow or in your creative process? I mean, outside of the time it takes to edit and parse down pictures, is there one that stands out to you?
Yeah, in editing, noise reduction, right? So noise reduction, it's gotten better. The program I used to take a minute a picture. And now it takes 20 seconds a picture. But 20 seconds a picture is a lot when you're doing 500 pictures at a time.
Right, but that's still a hell of a lot better than the 1 minute a picture.
A hell of a lot better. And I'm really glad. Thank you, Topaz Noise DI, for that improvement. But it's a real signature of my look, and I have to do it. And when you're taking pictures at 5,000 ISO, you're going to have some noise. Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty picky about noise. I want it all out of there. So, it's just that's frustration. I wish it was as quick as the other things in editing are.
Right. So that's the one thing that really sticks in your craw about it.
Yeah. Backup. I wish I had a better solution for backing things up than I do, and I'm investigating. I want to get it all online.
Yeah.
And then finding stuff. That's a big one.
Oh, the organizational.
It's my fault. If I tagged everything from the very beginning, every picture I took of Brandon, if I written hashtag Brandon, so all I had to do was type in hashtag Brandon, and all my pictures of Brandon would come up.
But it's frustrating to be so thorough and execute that forethought on the front end of things sometimes.
Yeah, but it's so something I imagine most people don't think of is when anybody who was part of downtown passes away.
Yeah.
That's a few hours for me the next day looking for pictures of them.
Yeah.
Because somebody's going to want pictures of them. And then it's frustrating to me personally because, when Brandon passed away, I found 50 pictures of him.
And you have hundreds.
And that's the thing. So since then, every once in a while, I find another picture and I go, oh man, I wish I'd put that one up. Or, oh, there's one. I didn't see that one.
Yeah.
So that's why I would really like, if the
but that's bittersweet
Tennessee
too.
Department of Arts, whatever that is, wants to give me 2 interns
Yeah.
to tag pictures for me. That would be really wonderful.
Yeah. There you go. That sounds like a solid solution. So on the flip side of that, do you have any like greatest joys or things that make you happiest in this workflow or creative process?
Yeah, I mean, just pictures of my friends and people who I know having fun.
Yeah.
Usually at weddings, I'm usually crying because it's usually somebody I know. And the moment I usually cry the most is either if they do a first look. A first look is when the bride puts on her dress and she stands alone and you bring in the groom in to see her for the first time. That I cry. But usually when they say, I pronounce you man and wife, and they're coming up the aisle.
And that's the shot.
And everybody's thinking, so I'm usually walking backwards and wiping at my eyes because I'm usually crying at that moment. Like fathers and sons or fathers and daughters. Like I was shooting Travis Bigwood's Beatles tribute, and Aubrey Mullins, his dad, is a really great singer.
Yeah.
He was there. So, I feel pressure, right?
Right.
I'm like, these guys don't get on stage very often.
And
there's nobody else here taking these pictures.
Yeah, and no, you're the guy with the camera.
And she's going to want these pictures one day, and man, I hope I don't screw it up.
Right.
So I really love taking pictures of family members playing music together.
Oh yeah,
And then
for sure.
Yeah, people dancing. I mean, anything. Just like, when Brandon passed away, I'm really happy I had so many pictures of him and like his best friend Chris Weathers. I had so many pictures of those two together, and
and
I'm glad I got those.
Yeah, and it's a heartwarming thing to be able to like uncover those every now and again. Yeah, that's amazing. Are there any gigs that just stand out in the back of your head of just absolute shit you just wish you hadn't have went?
Okay, I'll leave the artist off.
Yeah, you can say this however you like.
But so we have this camping thing we go to out on the French Broad, and so I was doing that this weekend. It was a weekend at Tennessee Florida game, and this guy called me, and
I love where this is going already.
And he offered me money, and I was like, So I told him 3 times my normal price because I didn't want to do it.
Right, because you wanted to price yourself out of it.
Yeah, he didn't even blink. He's like, okay.
Don't you hate when that happens?
So I can name one of the artists. There was a rapper there named Gorilla Zoe.
Okay.
And he had a minor, like a YouTube hit or something. Pretty good. And and it was at the Tin Roof.
On the strip.
The night of the Tennessee Florida game. Or the night before. And oh my God, like as soon as I parked my car, some guy came in a Mercedes and like only went halfway into the parking spot and half double parked me. And then I go downstairs and there's 3 porta potties and 3 guys peeing on the doors of the porta potties. Then I get to the Tin Roof and they're at capacity.
Right.
But the bouncers are letting people in through the back door for $20 a piece.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
this sounds like
it's
primo.
It's 100 over cap for sure.
This is primo Tin Roof shenanigans though.
And then the artist is just doing cover songs, Brown Eyed Girl and Fuck You Alabama, and oh man, and then Gorilla Zoe's. I put my camera bag and I turned around. There's some 300-pound dude standing on my camera bag.
On it.
And I'm like, he can't hear me. I'm like, you're on my camera bag, but he can't hear me because Zoe's on stage and it's so loud. I'm like, you're on. And I finally grabbed him and pulled him down. And he looked at me like really angry. And then I pointed to my camera bag. And he was so apologetic and nice.
I would hope. Could have been money on the line right then.
Oh, it was just insane. Just so much throwing up and drunk, stupid people. And the one great moment is, I don't really know this guy's name. It's a white saxophone player named Brandon. And Gorilla Zoe asked for somebody to come up on stage and rap battle with him. And Brandon's like, I'll do it. And he smoked him.
Oh,
he
shit.
blew him off the stage.
He asked for that one, huh?
That part was cool.
But that was the only highlight of all the drunken shenanigans.
Yeah. Always just nights when you're just not into it, and nights when a band you expected to be good,
Right. Does it feel like work when you're in those shoes? When.
Yeah, it depends. So like a couple bars like just pay me a monthly retainer, And so for those, like, if it just sucks, I just leave.
Right,
And I'm
because
like,
you can be there.
I'll shoot another song.
Yeah, you can be there anytime, right?
So I can, and the same thing for festivals. Generally, it's once in a while. Usually, if it just blows, I just leave. But if I get hired for one specific gig, like that, then I can't leave, and that I don't really enjoy.
But it sounds like you have the luxury of that not being the case very often.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. So do you try to sort of tailor your workload sometimes? Do you have the luxury to sort of pick and choose where you're at, what you're doing?
Yeah, that's why I went back to my day job. So I worked for I was a professional doing only photography for 7 or 8 years, and I had to shoot Oliver North, and first I had to shoot him at this Veterans Benefits Association dinner.
That sounds really exciting.
And he's up there. He's up there. He's cussing the ACLU, and not mentioning that he didn't go to prison because the ACL defended him.
Oh, well, that's nice.
And then he's like, they had me on the no-fly list. Can you believe that? Me on a no-fly list. And I'm like, you literally sold missiles to terrorists.
Yeah.
Like, you literally sold missiles to Iranian terrorists. Like, what did? And but that wasn't the bad part. The bad part was the next day. So I'll switch tracks for a little bit and tell you. So I shot this chef, Alton Brown, and I loved it. He was such a gentleman. It's so nice. He flew here in his own plane.
Yeah, he's a cool dude.
And his handlers are like, you got to hurry, but he made a moment of connection with everybody in the meet and greet line. There were probably 200 people, and he said something different to each person. You just asked him where they're from or something, but he had a moment with everybody. Oliver North, I heard him make the same stupid joke to every girl for 200 people in a row that I had to take. And, and I called up these people that I know at work the next day, and I'm like, I gotta come back to work. But I'm not doing the job.
If I ever have to do this again, I'm gonna kill somebody.
Job like this again.
Well, sounds like you learned something in that experience. And that monotony really killed it for you. That right there, or that type of scenario.
That I had to work for a bad person.
Yeah.
My client was Oliver North is a bad person. My client was a bad person. The organization, he turned the organization into a bad organization, and I just didn't want any part of that kind of crap anymore.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. So you said back to the day job where I can have the freedom to tailor pick and choose.
Where I can focus more on art and not have it, be the only thing paying my rent.
Right. So, this is kind of a question I've gotten away from, but what is the day job?
I work for KLA, but so I worked for this company for 15 years when I first came back, and then I took off for 10 years, and then I came back to them. And we make a machine that does really tiny measurements, like a 10,000th of the thickness of your hair.
Okay. So, very tiny, yeah.
Nanometers, down to 5 nanometers. Your hair is 50,000 nanometers thick, probably. And
so this is a very specialized piece of scientific equipment.
Yeah. So now I'm involved in the manufacturing. But before I was a service technician, it was really fun because none of our customers are stupid.
Right, because you're not stupid in using that kind of tool.
Yeah. So I went around, a lot of our customers were working with spider silks. I was on a lot of spider webs.
Oh yeah, so I can imagine a lot of fiber optics and cables and fibers technologies.
Yeah, it's really about materials. It's about developing new materials.
Right.
But it's used as something as simple as testing the hardness of the glass on an iPhone. Mm-hmm. So your iPhone has about 10 small holes in it probably. That you can't see because they're too small to see.
The thing is stiff, so it's not going to deflect only very small amounts.
And that's just quality control. They're just getting a hardness number. And but there's people studying artificial tooth enamel, veins, bones, coatings on chips, coatings on car paint.
Yeah.
Carbon nanotubes, various microscale features on different kinds of chips and stuff. So
because if you're going to be making things like this, you have to be able to measure things like this.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. That's crazy. I didn't know that was your day job, so I learned something today. That's really cool. We're about to hit that hour mark, and out of respect for your time, I'm gonna ask you just a couple more questions.
Okay.
And we'll do you know who Greg Proops is, the comedian?
No.
Okay, well, one of my favorite things that he says is, "We will fuck off into this good night." And I would like to sign off more podcasts like that, but I don't. But this one, when we're done here, we're going to fuck off into this good night.
All right.
Who are some people around town that you enjoy and feel as if should be sitting in your seat right now?
Photography wise.
Yeah, we can answer this one however you want. Yeah.
Yeah, Sean Pointer.
Okay.
I think is a great photographer. From the point of view of your podcast, Jared Hagerman.
Yeah.
He's a very talented videographer. It's very annoying because he's one of the people that liked my work at one time and asked me for all kinds of tips, and now it's a million times better.
Darn.
But he's fascinated because he wants to be a documentarian, so he knows tons about old buildings in Knoxville and the 82 World's Fair and stuff. And he has all kinds. He has a Robin. Okay. Which is a 3-wheeled British car.
Yeah, the Reliant Robin. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm aware of
has
that.
one.
Oh
he had
God.
it shipped over from England for like I think he spent like $3,000 total on it.
I believe it.
So he's a fascinating guy. You should really get him.
Well,
Andy Vinson, who works with Lock and Key and is a better photographer than me and a better videographer than Jared. Andy's a machine. He's amazing.
Well, if you had one piece of advice for yourself being a creative person back when you didn't really know you were becoming a creative person, what would it be?
Save money. I mean, it's stupid, but it's...
Well, that would help in so many ways.
You know, I just think back of all my life, if I just put 10% of my money away, yeah, it'd be a lot better. That's banal, boring advice, but it's
that doesn't mean it isn't good advice. So, Bill, if you would like to tell people where to find your work, if you care, you can go ahead and tell them where to find you.
www.billfoster.com or www.knoxbillphotos.com. But they resolved to the same website. So,
well, there you go. Friends, it was nice to have Bill Foster on the other end of this microphone, and I think you have a very unique and important perspective on the Knoxville social scene, and I greatly appreciate you out here doing what you do.
I appreciate doing this. It was fun.
I appreciate your time and energy you gave to the conversation. This is the KAAMP. I'm Thomas Zachary. You've heard me say all the 1,000 things about supporting the podcast. Share it, listen to it, put it in your friends' ear holes, whether they ask nicely or not. And, enjoy your day and fuck off into this good night. Y'all have a good night.